Too big. All right, tell me about this ad.
This is an ad we run in one of the owners' communities, and mostly to a certain area and certain communities. Like I said, where one of our owners lives. Now, this is we sponsor the home of the month, and then they have pictures every month of a different home and the homeowners. It's mostly the people in the community. But then they kind of feature the home a little bit as well in the background.
Okay, so this is did you say this is a magazine? You cut out a little bit earlier. You sounded like an auto-tuned robot for a second, but I got you now.
Yeah. It's out of a magazine. It's one of the local cities, smaller cities here, Lee Summit, and it's one of the owners lives in the community that puts out this magazine. Okay,
and any idea how this has worked in the past?
No clue whatsoever.
That's the best kind of magazine to run, the one where people have no idea if it works or not. Yeah, you know, this has a lot of the hallmarks of, you know, a platitude-filled ad.
Right.
I mean, I see where it's trying to go. You know, it takes expertise to do it right. The way that it's stated in this ad really doesn't lend any credibility to the claim. It takes expertise to do it right. You've made a claim. You've given no reason to back it up. There's no evidence that you actually do it right, other than the fact that you said you do it right. The text in here, you know, anytime you start a paragraph with something like a home is more than a house, it's a security for your family, comfort at the end of a long day. I'm not saying, hey, this is the worst thing I've ever read. Here's what I'm saying. You've given readers a signal, clear signal, that they don't have to read this paragraph because it doesn't contain any useful information.
Right.
I mean, really, think about this for a minute. A home is more than a house. It's a security for your family, comfort at the end of a long day. I mean, here's how people process information. And this isn't really to say, hey, let's pick on this paragraph, but just as sort of a teaching tool for everybody else on the call right now. By definition, you're going to put your most important things first and earliest in your discussion, especially in an advertisement. And when you see something like this, a house is more than a home, it's a security for your family, comfort at the end of a long day, an investment in your future, people are going to read that and say, oh, if that's the most important thing that they have to say, and that's not important at all, by the way. I mean, it's clearly, you know, I don't even know what to call this stuff. It's just fluffy junk, right?
Yes.
Then people just tune it out and say, oh, well, you know, there's nothing here. So whatever the last 4 lines of this paragraph say really isn't even going to get read. I would predict that out of 1,000 eyeballs that would see this ad, probably out of 1,000, probably 50 would even see this paragraph and read it, and out of those 50, 0 are going to read the whole thing because it doesn't say anything. So there's the problems. The real question is, well, what do you do to make it better? I would assume that's a reasonable question. Yes, no, you still there? John? Earth calling John.
Yes, sorry, I thought I was unmuting it. Apparently I muted it.
Yeah, anyway, so, you know, this is kind of an interesting thing. It's called, okay, so we've determined that the ad is not good. How do we make it better? I mean, typically I would turn that around on you and say, well, I don't know, what would you want to do to make this ad better? We can start at the very beginning. What do you want people to know? What do you want people to do? So let me ask you this. What do you want people to know? What do you want people to do?
I want people to know that we're one of the best, and I want them to call us and request an estimate.
You're one of the best. And how would you support that comment?
Well, with a myriad of certifications, and then we have a ton of customer testimonies, just stacks and stacks of customers telling us how great we are.
All right, so go to your stack of testimonials, because here's what you've got to do. Having a testimonial is not, in and of itself, all that helpful. Now, I didn't say that testimonials aren't helpful. I said that having testimonials in and of themselves are not that helpful. And here's why. Because, number one, a lot of times people look at testimonials and they say, well, you know, I understand what's going on here is that there's a testimonial. I'm not saying I dislike your testimonial, and I'm not saying I don't believe your testimonial. I'm just saying that it's an understood advertising structure that there's testimonials, and so I would expect you to have people that could say nice things about your company.
Right.
It's not as if every other company has no ability to get any testimonials, and you've got all the testimonials, so that it's something special. So clearly that's not the case. Also, testimonials very frequently are general. They are full of platitudes, and they simply exist to say, hey, this company is really good. What I would suggest is this. Use testimonials as a way to provide evidence, or stated in a different way, to provide an expert witness about specific points of a case that you're trying to make.
Right.
So what is the specific case that you want to make? Well, you said I want people to know that we're the best. It's a little bit generic for a point. What do we want people to know specifically?
We have extremely high quality standards, and are early training to back that up.
Okay, you went auto-tune on me there for a second. You've got extremely high standards and what?
We have very high standards, and we install very high quality installations. And to help with that, our crews and supervisors and sales all have certifications to back that up. Hello?
Making some notes here.
Okay. I'm pulling out a few testimonials that actually say something that's not a platitude. It's more specific examples as we speak.
Okay.
I don't know if that's going to help.
Well, I mean, it can help. I think what helps the most, I mean, think about it this way. Let's take the analogy of going to court. If you were going to court in this ad, and you were trying, forget the ad for a minute. If we were going to court and we were trying to prove something about your company, we would probably not necessarily stick an expert witness or something like that on the stand first. What we want to do is we want to present a case. We want to put our platform out there and say, here's what we're trying to prove. And then in the course of that discussion, that testimonial, or in the case of court, that witness becomes important somewhere within the context of that whole argument, but not as necessarily the first or main thing of that argument. So what we want to do is we want to find ways, I mean, we're just doing basic MYM stuff here. We want to find ways to communicate something. Now, I'm putting the word something and underlining it and italicizing it. We want to communicate something with power, precision, and passion, right?
Right.
And the key thing is what? What is the something? You said, well, we've got extremely high standards. We've got very high quality installation. Certifications to back it up really isn't evidence, right?
Right.
I mean, you don't really want people to know they have certifications. What do you want people to know? Well, we have certifications. Certifications means
we do good work.
Certifications is a way to prove that you have good installations. So
yes,
let's focus on installations for just a minute. I'm not saying this is where you want to go with all your advertising, but let's just think about it for a minute. Installations. What if we wanted people to know, not necessarily that Bordner's has good installation. We want them to know that, but that's not what we really want them to know. What we really want them to know is that the installation, when it comes to exterior remodeling, can make a huge difference. True enough?
Yeah.
Do you think most people are aware of that?
Probably.
I would say probably not. Now, if you say that to somebody, the installation makes a big difference, most people could probably mentally validate that and say, well, that's probably true. But if you started talking to people about getting your windows replaced or getting new siding, very few people are going to independently on their own think about, well, who's going to install it? How's that install going to look? What's going to, the installation component of that? Are you following what I'm saying?
Right.
It's not something that people are geared to naturally think about. So this is something that we potentially want to bring it to their attention. So I think there's a big difference between wanting people to know that Bordners is an expert at installing things and wanting people to know that the installation makes a huge difference in the final product. And, oh, by the way, Bordners does a really good job. Do you see the difference?
Yes.
Because if we just come out and say in an ad, hey, Bordners is the best at installing stuff, people are going to look at that and say, well, of course you're going to say that. Of course people would, a company would say something like, we're the best at, whatever. I mean, I was driving yesterday, and I heard an ad on the radio with my wife in the car. It was for an auto dealership. Memorial Day, all the auto dealerships trying to get people out. And it said, my name's Dane Miner, and I want you to know that we've got the largest selection and the lowest prices on, I think it was Fords or Hondas or something, in all of Dallas-Fort Worth. And I said, hey, there it is, finally, the one dealership with the low prices and the big selection. Wow. I've never would have expected. Let's run right over and buy a car, okay? So here's what I'm trying to communicate to you. There's an issue that people may not be that aware of, and we need to find a way to bring it out. And then we bring it out, and then we say, by the way, this is what we do. We excel at this thing called installation. So we could say something like the following, like meaning what? This is not exactly necessarily what we're going to end with, but let's throw something on a piece of paper here. The installation, or how about this? When it comes to windows, siding, and roofing, the installation, well, let's just talk through it for a minute. The installation can make or break the final result. The installation makes all the difference in the world when it comes to how long it actually lasts. When it comes to roofing, siding, and windows, the installation is actually more important than the quality of the materials that are used. Do you think that's true?
Yes, definitely.
Would you rather have excellent materials installed poorly or poor materials installed excellently?
The latter.
Clearly, both scenarios are undesirable, but if you had to choose one, or stated differently, would you rather have excellent products installed mediocrely, or would you rather have mediocre products installed excellently? And you said clearly the latter, right?
Yes.
Now, that doesn't mean that you have mediocre products just because we said that, but it's what we're trying to do is accentuate this point. When it comes to window siding and roofing, most people don't realize that the installation is far more important than, I'm going to put a really critical word right here, even the quality of the materials. Now the word even is really important there. Listen to it both ways. Most people don't realize that the installation is far more important than the quality of the materials, versus most people don't realize that the installation is far more important than even the quality of the materials. Do you see that subtle but important difference?
Yes.
The first one suggests, well, who cares about the materials? The second one suggests, hey, it's important to have good materials, but it's more important to have good installation. So that's just a little word subtlety there that I'd like to point out to the group listening. So let's read through this and let's kind of fine-tune a little bit. When it comes to window siding and roofing, most people don't realize that the installation is far more important. Now, we might want to put something before the installation. The kind of installation, the quality of the installation. I'm going to generically throw the word quality there. I don't like it, but I'm going to put it there as a placeholder. Most people don't realize that the quality of installation, the expertise in installation, I don't know, I'm going to come back to it, is far more important than even the quality of the materials. Now, here's what we've just accomplished. We've put something out there that might cause a certain percentage of readers to say the following: oh, huh. Now, compare it to this. A home is more than a house. It's security for your family, comfort at the end of a long day, and investment in your future. How many people are going to read that and go, huh? Or even, anyone can replace your roof, windows, or siding. It takes installation expertise to do it right. Who's going to read that and go, huh? I didn't realize that it takes installation expertise to do the job right. Do you see the difference?
Yeah.
I mean, you hear me over here kind of stammering a little bit. I'm having a struggle trying to explain why it's different because it's so subtle and they're actually very close. But if I can bring something out and show people, hey, here's something you didn't realize. And by the way, just as a marketing writing tool, the tool of using this phrase, most people don't realize, is very powerful. I love using this in a headline or in a sentence because when somebody reads, most people don't realize, they naturally want to know out of curiosity, well, what is it that people don't realize? I'm telling them explicitly, I'm going to tell you something right now that most people don't know. And that is almost like a little challenge. Oh, well, let me see if I know it. Let me see if I realized it. Let me see if it's something that I know already. Most people don't realize that the quality of installation is far more important than even the quality of the materials. And then it causes them to say, huh, now we will need to follow this up with something that kind of brings it home a little bit. What do you think that is? You can't expect me to do all the work on the Tuesday morning ag clinic.
I don't know, our identity statement?
Yeah, I think you're right there. In fact, that was the exact right answer. It was a generic answer, but it gives us at least the direction to turn, which is this is now an appropriate time to come in and say, well, here's something that we do that fills this need for quality and expert installation, right? But I think we've got to be careful with the way that we approach it. Instead of simply saying, oh, hey, you know, and we have that quality installation, I think we might be well off to say something about, you know, here's the generic statement. You know, and most companies don't really pay that close attention to that. They're more focused on the product. They're more focused on getting in and out. They're more focused on, you know, turning jobs over. Before we really get strongly into, hey, we, you know, have, you know, certifications and testimonials and all these things that are great. So the first thing I'm doing is I'm putting a sentence out there saying most people don't realize that this is the case. Then I want to come in and say, you know, and most companies don't focus and concentrate on this. And as a result, we do, we're different, and therefore we're
better.
See, it becomes the conclusion, not the not the platitudinal opening statement. Hey, we're better because we got better installation. Okay, whatever. No, I'm bringing him down this logical argument. Hey, it's actually more important than the quality of the materials. Most companies don't really focus resources and energy on this. They're more interested in X, Y, and Z. But at Bordner's, this is why, this is what we're all about. This is our passion. This is where our expertise and training goes, because we know that it makes a huge difference, blah, 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 okay? So there's our ad. Now we just need to flesh it out. Do you like that?
I love it.
That progression?
Yeah, that's great.
Okay, so let's flesh it out a little bit. Right now, typically, I'd probably just cut you loose and say, okay, go figure that out. But I think what we can do is we can work on it here together. So let me do something here real quick. Let's see here. I'm just trying to pull up a clean document so we can work on this. Give me just a second. All right, here we go. All right. First, most important part of this. Most people don't realize that the quality of the installation is actually far more important than even the quality of the materials used. I don't like how many lines it has. Let's try to go 2 lines and see what happens. We'll try that. Many contractors what?
Many contractors, we talked about how they focus on the product or quick turnarounds.
Most contractors only focus on offering the lowest price. Now, there's a little copywriting tool I used here too. I put the lowest price in quotation marks. Do you see what that does?
Yep.
to that phrase, it automatically makes it suspect. If I took the quotation marks off, people might look at that and say, well, yeah, the lowest price is something I want, but when I put it in quotation marks, it makes it look like something that's undesirable. At Bordner's, we are obsessed. We insist on exacting installation standards for every single job because only lasts a lifetime is acceptable to us. I don't know if I like that or not, but it gives you an idea of where I'm going, right?
Right.
At Bordner's, we insist on exacting installation standards for every single job because only lasts a lifetime, no problems ever is acceptable to us. Okay, so this is a multi-tiered headline, and if you look at a lot of the things that I write, a lot of the websites that we put together, we employ this tactic of multi-tiered headlines because what we're trying to do is we're trying to suck somebody in with the first headline so that they'll read the second headline, and that second headline gives them enough confidence that there's interesting, useful information here to go to the third headline. And now, if I come down here below this and I put my text down here, if they don't read this text, I've still delivered a powerful message.
Right.
I still have communicated what I want them to know. If I do have them read this text, if they do actually read the text, then I can simply supply more evidence to prove that what I'm saying is true. But even if they don't read this text, you know, who cares? So let's go back to where we started with this, and we'll end up here, okay? I said, what do you want people to know? Now let's read this and let's see if it's what you want people to know. Most people don't realize the quality of the installation is actually far more important than even the quality of the materials used. Most contractors are only focused on offering the lowest price or turning as many jobs as possible. At Bordner's, we insist on exacting installation standards for every single job because only lasts a lifetime, no problems ever is acceptable to us. Okay. What do you want them to know? Well, apparently you pay a lot of attention to the way you install stuff because it makes junk last longer, right?
Exactly.
Okay. That's a pretty good thing for people to know after they read this. Now, if I wanted to write a paragraph or two short of text, I could come in here and say something like, you know, a lot of companies will talk about their great products and windows and siding and so forth, and the reality is there are a lot of good companies out there that have good products. When it comes to siding, you know, there's good, better, and best, and we're not the only company that has access to good, better, and best materials. Same thing with roofing and siding. So as long as you're focused on quality, the truth is just about any company can get you high-end materials if that's what you value and if you're willing to pay a little bit more to have high-quality materials. Problem is, even these companies, in most cases, don't really have an ability to do the job right because they simply don't have the people, the processes, the systems, the oversight, the quality control, the tools even in some cases, the patience to do the installation properly. This leads to premature failure It leads to, for windows, it leads to seal failure. It leads to, whatever, siding. It leads to these problems. I'm not saying you have to go into all this much detail, but I'm just trying to flesh out the rest of the argument for you. And to us, that's completely unacceptable. In fact, we believe that the installation is the most important part. That's why we changed our name from Bordner whatever to Bordner Install Group. Because this is where we are different. Yes, we have high-quality products. Of course we have high-quality products. But so does everybody else. But what we have that nobody has is this level of installation that makes sure that it lasts absolutely, positively, forever. That's why our warranties are so powerful and strong, and that's why others not so much. So if that sounds like something you want, hey, you might want to give us a call. If not, whatever. We don't care. So that's kind of where I'd go with that.
Perfect. That's great.
All right. That's it. I guess we're done. That was one down, none to go. Thanks, John. Appreciate hearing from you again.
Thank you, Rich. Appreciate it.
All right. We'll talk to you next time. And thanks, everybody else, for attending. And I think we're doing Tuesday Morning Ed Clinic again potentially next week. So we'll talk to you then. Talk to you later.
Great. Bye.
All right. Bye-bye.
The organizer has